One of the most common questions I get asked on this channel is, how do I start the swing? And it's a great question, and I realized I don't have a video covering this topic, so I felt like it was time to make one. Today, discover how to start the swing with the most simple swing thought and swing feeling you could ever imagine. Set yourself off on the right track and find yourself hitting the best shots of your life. So as we discuss the takeaway and how to start the swing, the first thing is to quickly define what the takeaway consists of. I would say it's where we move the club from setup, position 1 or P1, to position 2 in the backswing where the shaft is parallel to the ground. That's the area of the swing we're going to discuss. And today I'm going to share with you some ideas that you may not have thought of before. How your body moves during that space and time can really set you up for success or failure. You watch the best players in the world and they all share one secret move that I've condensed down into one simple feel. I'll share that with you today as we finalize exactly how to start the takeaway. So this simple move that all good golfers demonstrate is the ability to move the left side of their body down as they take the club away. I describe this to students as the left chest, and when I say left chest, I'm speaking specifically about the left pectoral muscle, the chest area, the lead arm, the top of the arm, the bicep, and having that entire area connected together and moving as one down to start the swing. That may seem too simple, but for many that sets them up for success. They start to move the club, the hands and the body as a single unit. You can use that sensation of moving the left chest down to take the club all the way back to that P2 position where the shaft is parallel to the ground. And what that does, which is different from how high handicap golfers move the club in the takeaway, it moves the golfer's left shoulder down and moves their spine into a left tilt. That left shoulder down moves the spine into a left tilt. In fact, I can show you this using the Sportsbox AI technology. As I pull that up on the screen, you'll see that as golfers set up to the ball, their spine, and you can see this slightly from the zipper in my shirt, the spine is set slightly to the right. It was tilted slightly to the right. And that's by the virtue of having the hips slightly further forward at setup to preset the weight on the front. And it's also because the right hand is slightly lower on the club than the left. So we have this slight tilt to our shoulders. We have a slight right tilt of our spine, somewhere around 5 to 10 degrees with an iron. But by the time I reach P2, where the shaft is parallel to the ground, that small right tilt that I had in my spine has become a left tilt around 20 degrees. So I've tilted some 30 degrees to the right from P1 to P2 in a good backswing or in a good takeaway. So many golfers miss this point that now the zipper on my shirt is not tilted to the right anymore, it's tilted to the left. And that's a significant change in the tilt of my shoulders just in this first part of the swing. As I say, expert players do that across the board and you don't even notice it because it's often described to you as a turn. Are the shoulders turning in the first part of the swing? Yes, they are. Are they only turning in the first part of the swing? No. And that's where so many get this wrong. The vast majority of golfers move this left chest or this left shoulder area, they move it level to the ground. The trajectory of the shoulder is too flat and across, and that starts to pull their head away from the target, starts causing them to sway, and we have all sorts of contact issues that follow. So the left turn, the turning that you need to do in the backswing, has to be matched with the appropriate amount of tilting. And in order to do that, the simplest way to think about the takeaway is to move the left chest down as you start the swing. And now that you know that's the feeling you need to set the club in the takeaway correctly, you won't be able to stop seeing good players do it. You'll start noticing how so many great golfers start the swing by moving this left shoulder and this left chest area down towards the ground. At the same time as the left chest is moving down, that will invoke a little bit of left knee flex as well, down towards the ball. But you'll see from this down the line view how the zipper on my shirt is now tilted to the left. When I started, it was tilted to the right. So it's the left tilt that's encouraged by this movement that helps a golfer to make a backswing that's on plane and keeps them tilted to the ground correctly. It makes the start of the swing so easy, just conforming to the grid that I have drawn on the ground here. The stack and tilt grid is drawn onto the mat using the T-claw. This gives me some visual guidance for how the club and the hand should move, but the left chest movement, the feeling of the left chest moving down towards the ball in the takeaway, takes care of me having to think about any of this. It happens naturally, it happens easily, and it's something that everybody can do. So the benefit of this move, once again, is that it blends the tilt and the turn beautifully. It's not just exclusively turning or rotation. That would keep the club too low to the ground and pull the golfer's head away from the target. That's the number one mistake that I see in higher handicap golfers. Equally, it isn't just tilting to the left. That would be this movement here, where my head would actually go towards the target. You see how the zipper on my shirt goes from this small amount of right tilt, and then I literally just move it to a left tilt. That's happening at the same time as the turning, and as we blend those two movements perfectly together, we keep the head completely still. And moving the left chest, the pec and the bicep, the arm, this whole unit up here, moving that together and not getting those things disconnected keeps the hands and the club tracing the grid perfectly. I don't need to think about whether I'm taking my hands too far in or if I start lifting my arms too far up. That would not be conducive with that left chest movement. So if you want to learn to start the swing correctly and give yourself that consistent repetitive takeaway that moves the club correctly on the arc to start the swing and gives you the greatest chance of delivering the club in a more consistent fashion, then left chest down towards the ball from P1 to P2. That's what you should practice. You can even make that part of your pre-shot swing or pre-shot rehearsal. Move the club back, left chest down, arms straight, left chest down, club stops at P2, then we can go ahead and hit one. It really feels like that club's going to move on such a consistent line and produce such a consistent ball flight, just like you see on the screen there. So if you didn't have a trigger or a way to start the swing, this would be a really nice, simple way for you to do it. As I say, if you watch the best players move in the takeaway, you'll see how that left shoulder and that left chest area moves down towards the ball. It doesn't move level or across. And that's a big difference between the best players and the poorest players. So there's a basic but very effective way to think about the takeaway. How you start your swing really determines how successful you're going to be at bringing that club back to the ball in a consistent fashion. You might be able to hit one or two good shots, but if you're not able to strike the ball consistently or predict the directional pattern of your shots, then learning to make a more consistent, reliable takeaway can be a great foundation for improving your swing. If you found the video today helpful, I'd love you to hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already. I make videos like this every week to help you improve your golf game. In fact, I've got one for you right here that you should really check out next. It helps you take the takeaway drill that you learned today from P1 to P2 and helps you take your left shoulder down, in and under the chin to complete a perfectly stacked and tilted backswing.